She's crouched beside the generator grease on her hands. Sergeant Thomas Decker scoffs. Let the wrench girl try her luck. Laughter follows. But Rowan Hale doesn't respond. Doesn't need to. Just wait. Stick around. They thought she was just a mechanic. What they didn't know, that ink running down her spine. It's the emblem of Ghost Unit 9, a strike force so classified it doesn't officially exist. Rowan didn't fix things. She dismantled empires in silence. Then Decker sees the tattoo. His face drains. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. Major General Thomas Decker's fingers traced the worn edge of his commander's coin as he stared at the security monitor, his world tilting on its axis. The technician's movements were precise, methodical, just as they had been during operation briefings 5 years ago. But this was impossible. Rowan Hale was dead, her body lost in a classified operation he'd personally overseen. His office felt smaller now, the walls of carefully constructed lies threatening to cave in. The security footage played on loop her face, those unmistakable eyes, the torn sleeve revealing that damned Crimson 17 tattoo. Each frame struck like a physical blow, challenging everything he'd built his reputation on. "Sir," Lieutenant Chen's voice barely registered. "Should we detain the technician?" Thomas Decker's grip tightened on the coin until his knuckles went white. "No, I'll handle this personally." His voice carried the weight of authority that had cowed countless subordinates, but underneath lay a tremor of something he hadn't felt in years. Fear. The walk to the maintenance bay seemed endless. Each step echoed through the corridor like a countdown, the distant thrum of helicopter rotors a mocking reminder of that night in Tehran. His medals clinked softly against his chest, medals earned through decisions he'd convinced himself were necessary. She was elbow-deep in an engine when he entered, her back turned. But he saw her shoulders tense, recognizing his footsteps, just as she had during countless missions. "Technical specialist." His voice boomed through the bay, causing other workers to scatter. "Step away from the equipment." Rowan Hale straightened slowly, deliberately. When she turned those eyes, the ones he'd seen close in death, met his with cold recognition. The maintenance bay fell silent, save for the hollow ping of cooling metal. "This is a restricted area." He continued, stepping closer, authority radiating from every pore. "You're not authorized to be here." His hand unconsciously moved to his commander's coin thumb, running over its surface, a habit born of countless difficult decisions. A small crowd had gathered at the bay's entrance phones, already recording. Perfect. Let them see him assert control. Let them witness— "Actually, sir," she replied, voice carrying clearly across the bay, "I have every authorization needed." She held up her credentials, and his stomach dropped. They were legitimate, signed by General Monroe himself. The whispers started immediately. A superior officer had approved her presence here. The very system he'd manipulated to bury the truth was now being used against him. His coin felt like it was burning through his pocket. 5 years of carefully maintained power balanced on a knife's edge. If she was here, if she remembered, if she had proof. "You're dead," he hissed low enough that only she could hear. "I made sure of it." "Did you—" Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Type Ghosts Return if you want to see what really happened that night in Tehran. The security footage would later go viral. Oscar Decker falls, trending within hours. The mighty Major General Thomas Decker confronted by a ghost of his own, making his carefully constructed world beginning to crumble. The coin slipped from his fingers, clattering to the floor. The sound echoed like a gunshot, like helicopter rotors, like the beginning of the end. How far would a man go to maintain power? What happens when the dead refuse to stay buried? The answers would shake the very foundations of military command. And Thomas Decker knew, watching Rowan Hale calmly return to her work, that his empire of lies was about to come crashing down. Major General Thomas Decker's fingers trace the edges of classified documents each page, a testament to his carefully constructed lies. The surveillance photos of Rowan Hale working in the base's tech center mock him, her presence a ghost that refuses to stay buried. His command coin spins endlessly on the polished desk, a hypnotic dance that draws him back to that blood-soaked night in Kandahar. Necessary sacrifices. He mutters the words tasting like ash. The morning sun streams through his office window, casting long shadows across Operation Blackstone's aftermath report, the same report he personally doctored 4 years ago. His hands shake slightly as he reaches for his coffee now, cold and bitter, like the memories flooding back. The surveillance feed from the tech center plays silently on his monitor. Corporal Diaz circles Hale like a predator, making snide comments about her credentials, her presence, her very right to exist in his world. Thomas Decker sees his own arrogance reflected in Diaz's swagger, and it sickens him. "Sir, the quarterly security review needs your signature," his aide announces through the intercom. The mundane intrusion feels surreal against the weight of his discoveries. His command coin wobbles to a stop landing on the eagle insignia, a symbol of authority that now feels like an accusation. The base's warning sirens begin their monthly test their wail, cutting through his thoughts like a knife. In his mind, they transform into the desperate radio calls from that night. "General, the payload is secured, but they've got our position. You need to move now." "That's an order, Specialist Hale. Fall back immediately." "Negative, sir. You'll never make it without covering fire. Sometimes one life buys another. It's been an honor." The memory makes his chest tighten. He'd taken her sacrifice and turned it into a lie, erasing her existence to protect operational security. The official story, Specialist Rowan Hale died heroically saving her commanding officer. The truth, he'd buried her service record so deep that even her family believed she'd perished. Thomas Decker opens his desk drawer, removing a thick folder marked Protocol 17A Security Breach Procedures. The irony isn't lost on him. He'd helped write these procedures designed to protect the base from threats like unauthorized personnel with falsified credentials. Like Hale, his computer chimes with an email from Base Security, unauthorized access attempt, Tech Center Terminal 7. His heart rate spikes. Hale's terminal. She's searching for something. "Sometimes one life buys another," he whispers to the empty office, her words haunting him. But which life was truly bought that night? And at what cost? The command coin catches his eye again. He picks it up, feeling its weight, the weight of command of decisions that reshape lives. He's held onto it like a talisman since that night, proof that his choices were justified. Now it burns in his palm like a brand. Have you ever justified a lie so long you began to believe it yourself? An alert flashes on his screen. "Personnel file access. Classified Operation Blackstone." She's digging deeper, getting closer to the truth he buried. His finger hovers over the security alert button. One press and protocol would take over. Teams would deploy, Hale would be detained, and the lies would hold for another day. But the sirens continue their mournful wail, and in their cry, he hears the echoes of every decision that led him here. The studies on post-traumatic stress and moral injury mock him from their place on his bookshelf. Scientific validation of the poison eating at his soul. "Tekwum, General Decker." His aide's voice crackles through the intercom again. "Colonel Richards requests an update on the security breach protocols. Type guilt if you've ever carried a secret that threatened to destroy everything you've built." His mentor's words from decades ago surface. Command isn't about being right, Thomas. It's about being right with yourself. The same mentor who taught him that sometimes the mission demands sacrifice. But whose mission is he serving now? The surveillance feed shows Hale leaving her station, her movements precise, controlled, military training impossible to fully disguise. She glances up at the camera, and for a moment their eyes seem to meet across the digital divide. In that look he sees not accusation, but something far worse understanding. Major General Thomas Decker reaches for his phone duty and honor waging war in his mind. The command coin falls from his desk, rolling across the floor until it comes to rest beneath the framed copy of his oath of office. The symbolism isn't subtle, but then the universe rarely is. The clock strikes 9, marking another hour of secrets and lies. In the distance, the warning sirens finally fall silent, leaving him alone with the truth he's tried so hard to bury. The truth that rose from the grave, wearing Rowan Hale's face, demanding recognition, demanding justice, demanding an answer to the question that's haunted him for 4 years. How many lives can one lie destroy? Major General Thomas Decker's hands trembled as he watched the security feed cycling across his monitor, each screen revealing another moment of Rowan Hale's growing isolation. His command coin felt like lead in his pocket, a constant reminder of the authority he'd wielded so confidently just hours ago. Now it mocked him with its weight. The base's atmospheric hum took on an accusatory tone as he observed another officer deliberately crossing the corridor to avoid Hale. His throat tightened when she reached for her access card at the research lab, only for the light to flash red. Denied. Just as he'd ordered. "Sir!" His aide's voice crackled through the intercom. "There's something you need to see." Decker's pulse quickened as he pulled up the trending topics on his secure terminal. Ghost Tech blazed across the screen, accompanied by grainy photos of Crimson 17's last mission. His own words echoed back at him from countless reposts. No survivors. The lie he'd maintained for years now unraveled with each share, each comment, each questioning voice. The metallic clang of boots on the walkway outside his office made him jerk upright, sweat beading on his forehead. He found himself counting the footsteps, trying to determine if they were coming for her or for him. The steps faded, but his anxiety remained a constant companion now. His hand brushed against the singed edge of the mission report he'd pulled from the archives. The paper crackled beneath his fingers, brittle as his resolve. The image of Hale that night, her face illuminated by the inferno, as she dragged him to safety, superimposed itself over every security feed. He'd buried that truth so deep, convinced himself it was for the greater good. Now it clawed its way free, each revelation another wound in his carefully constructed narrative. "Sir," the intercom buzzed again. "General Morrison is requesting an immediate video conference regarding the social media situation." Major General Thomas Decker gripped his command coin until its edges bit into his palm. The weight of it, once a comfort, now felt like a millstone. He watched Hale on the monitor, standing alone in the cafeteria, other personnel giving her a wide berth. Her isolation was his creation, his protection of operational security transformed into a weapon that was now turning back on him. Have you ever watched your carefully constructed world crumble around you? The thought echoed in his mind as he observed another officer hurriedly gathering their belongings and leaving when Hale entered the break room. The whispers he'd started had become a roar he couldn't control. The base's internal messaging system pinged. Another security advisory, another restriction, another brick in the wall he'd built around Hale. But walls worked both ways. They kept secrets in as much as they kept people out. And now those secrets were breaking free. Drop one in the comments if you've ever seen your own lies come back to haunt you. The hollow sound of his boots on metal as he paced his office became a countdown to what he wasn't sure anymore. The truth about Crimson 17, his own downfall. Both seemed inevitable now, as Contra Ghost Tech climbed higher on the trending lists, carrying with it fragments of classified information that shouldn't exist. Major General Thomas Decker stared at his reflection in the darkened window, his command coin a dead weight in his trembling hand. The base's lights cast shadows that seemed to move with lives of their own, each one hiding a truth he could no longer contain. The night that had haunted his dreams for years was finally catching up to him, and this time there would be nowhere to hide from the flames. I notice this input contains story elements about Major General Thomas Decker and Rowan Hale, with the Rebellion Puncher taking a stand section to expand. Let me craft this section, maintaining Major General Thomas Decker as the consistent antagonist name, focusing exclusively on his perspective and emotional journey. The technical briefing room's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows as Major General Thomas Decker grips the edge of his seat, watching Rowan Hale approach the podium. His command coin burns against his thigh like a hot coal, its weight a constant reminder of his authority now trembling like a house of cards. That badge, Major General Thomas Decker thinks watching her deliberately unpinning the technician's credentials. The false identity I helped create to bury her. His throat constricts as the projector whirs to life, casting its accusing blue glow across the briefing room walls. The classified file header appears, and Major General Thomas Decker's hands grow clammy. Operation Crimson Dawn, 5 years prior. His carefully constructed wall of lies begins to crack as Rowan's steady voice fills the room. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to see was classified by Major General Thomas Decker himself. The sound of his full name echoes like a gunshot. He watches faces turn toward him, sees the first flickers of doubt in his officer's eyes. The footage starts playing, shaky helmet cam video from that night. Explosions illuminate the screen in staccato bursts. Major General Thomas Decker's chest tightens as he recognizes his own voice shouting orders through the chaos. Then comes the moment, the RPG impact that should have killed him. I disobeyed a direct order that night. Rowan continues, her voice unwavering. Major General Thomas Decker had commanded us to hold position, but I saw the insurgents with the RPG. I broke cover to draw their fire. The room gasps as the video shows Rowan charging the enemy position, giving Major General Thomas Decker's team crucial seconds to relocate. His command coin feels heavier with each passing moment, each revealed truth. For saving your lives, I was reported killed in action. Rowan's eyes lock onto Major General Thomas Decker's. The Major General ensured my death would remain uncontested. My family received a flag and an empty coffin while I was forced underground. The hashtag #DeckerLies appears on the screen, already trending on multiple platforms. Major General Thomas Decker's phone buzzes incessantly in his pocket. Headquarters demanding answers. He reaches for his command coin, his touchstone of power, but his fingers tremble too much to grasp it. The coin slips from his pocket, clattering across the floor in perfect sync with his crumbling reputation. The sound echoes like a death knell through the silent room. Type, truth prevails. If you believe no hero deserves to be buried alive, Rowan's voice carries an edge of justified victory. Major General Thomas Decker stands his legs unsteady. I did what was necessary for operational security. He attempts, but the words ring hollow even to his own ears. His voice cracks, betraying the facade of authority he's maintained for 5 years. The door bursts open as military police enter, their boots thundering against the floor. Major General Thomas Decker watches his officers step away from him, creating a void of isolation. The handcuffs click shut around his wrists, the sound broadcasting live across social media platforms where Ocherbaster Decker Lies continues its viral ascent. You buried me to protect your reputation. Rowan states, her voice carrying across the room and into thousands of live streams. Now the truth has risen, and it's your turn to fall. As the MPs lead him away, Major General Thomas Decker catches his reflection in the briefing room's windows. His medals and insignia, once symbols of pride, now weigh like anchors of shame. The command coin remains on the floor, abandoned its polished surface, dulled under the harsh lights, just like the power he thought would protect him forever. Share this moment of justice echoes through the room as Major General Thomas Decker takes his final walk of shame, knowing that tomorrow's headlines will ensure his disgrace reaches every corner of the nation. His carefully constructed world of power and lies crumbles with each step, each click of the handcuffs, a reminder of the truth he tried to bury. Standing in the stark military auditorium, Major General Thomas Decker feels the weight of 2 decades of carefully constructed authority crumbling. The command coin worn smooth from years of anxious handling catches the light one final time as it leaves his trembling fingers. The sound of it landing in Rowan Hale's palm seems to echo through the cavernous space, a metallic whisper of power transferring hands. 17 years ago, I made a choice that I told myself was for the greater good. Thomas Decker's voice carries through the silent room, each word heavy with the burden of long-buried truth. I chose the system over humanity. I chose paperwork over people. I chose to erase Rowan Hale and her entire team rather than face the reality of what went wrong under my command. The faces before him blur as memories flood back. The classified reports he'd doctored the families, he'd lied to the medals he'd accepted, while survivors like Rowan lived in shadows. His hands shake as he grips the podium, the empty spot where his command coin usually rests feeling like an open wound. But she never stopped serving even when we tried to erase her existence. While I climbed ranks protecting lies, she protected people, without recognition, without rank, without reward. Thomas Decker's voice cracks. The sound of chairs scraping against the floor fills the auditorium as hundreds rise to their feet. Not for him, but for the woman who'd survived his betrayal. The viral hashtag, #DurSurdFonds, Decker confesses, flashes on phones throughout the crowd, his public revelation streaming live across military channels and civilian networks alike. Each ping of a new share feels like another nail in the coffin of his carefully constructed facade. The truth isn't found in our medals or our official records. Thomas Decker continues watching Rowan's fingers close around his command coin. It lives in the quiet service of those who continue their mission, despite being erased from history. I lost my way protecting a system that valued silence over justice. She never lost hers protecting people who had no voice. The security footage from their confrontation plays on the screens behind him. His initial arrogance, her unwavering dignity, the moment truth shattered his carefully constructed walls. Each frame documents his transformation from defender of lies to reluctant prophet of truth. Today I relinquish not just my command, but the false narrative I've protected for nearly 2 decades. The Crimson 17 mission wasn't a failure that needed to be buried. It was a success that exposed corruption we weren't ready to face. His voice steadies as he faces the consequences he's evaded for so long. Sometimes the greatest leadership comes from those we tried to forget. In the front row, his former command staff avoid his gaze. But beyond them, young officers lean forward, phones raised, capturing the moment a system begins to crack. Should Decker confesses trends nationwide, each share a small crack in the wall of silence he'd helped build. Let the record show that Rowan Hale and the members of Crimson 17 acted with honor, courage, and unwavering dedication to their true mission, protecting people, not politics. Thomas Decker steps back from the podium, his shoulders straight, despite the weight of public shame. Their story will no longer be hidden in redacted files and classified lies. The command coin gleams in Rowan's hand, no longer a symbol of authority but one of atonement, of truth finally spoken, of power returning to its rightful guardians. Type "Truth prevails" if you believe in the power of long-buried secrets finally coming to light. Share this moment if you believe one person's courage to face truth can change a system. As Thomas Decker walks off the stage, his footsteps echo through the silent auditorium. Behind him, Rowan Hale stands tall, the command coin catching the light, a small disc of metal representing the moment when protection of power finally yielded to protection of truth. Sometimes he realizes true leadership isn't found in those who maintain systems, but in those who survive them. And sometimes the greatest service we can offer is finally speaking truth to the power we once wielded. The doors close behind him with a final resonant click. In his wake, hundreds of phones light up with shares and comments, each one carrying the story of how Major General Thomas Decker chose truth over power, humanity over system, and found redemption in surrender.